Hi guys, Jim at Rainwater Equipment and Rain Harvesting Supplies. Today we are going to change out the filter cartridges and the lamp inside of our UV system here. This is a model IHS22-E4 by Viqua. They also make a D4 version of this that's a little smaller, that has a lower flow rate, that does not include this additional piping here. We also carry another brand called Luminor that makes a rack mount system as well, the Blackham series, and you'll follow essentially the procedure for changing out your lamps and your filter cartridges for the Luminor basically the same way you would do for the Viqua. So the first thing you have to remember is you've got to turn off the water pressure. So in this case, we have isolation valves coming out of our pump and coming into the sediment filter housing here and the carbon filter housing. I'm going to go ahead and turn the ball valve off. We happen to have two on this particular system that will prevent the water from going through here. You've got to depressurize these before you start working with them, or you could have problems. So the best way to do that is typically to just take a bucket. Hopefully you have installed a water spigot like this stainless steel one here on this system. I've already drained this system, but I wanted to just show you how ours is set up. Open the valve, drain the water that's in the piping before you start. And then on the bottom of the filter housings on the Viqua systems, there's actually a port that you could put a screwdriver on with a flathead and open that up, and then put a bucket underneath and catch all of the water in these housings before you try and take them apart so that you don't make a big mess. So again, there's the nut on the bottom of those, the drain port. Another thing to remember is you need to kill the power. This one was plugged in over here previously, and we have unplugged it to allow the thing to power down. And on the very top of the filter housings, to make sure there's no pressure still retained in the system, you have to push down on these vent buttons, these black buttons. They'll relieve any additional pressure that there may be in the system. In some cases, you'll get leaking vent buttons on some of these I have seen, and we do actually have replacement buttons if you ever run into that problem. Each of these systems comes with a filter wrench. So we're going to, one of the cool things about the Viqua systems is you have these sleeves, these rings, excuse me, on top that allow you to loosen and drop these sump housings down. Spin this counterclockwise until this ring falls. If you've already drained the system, like I have, then you won't have any water inside the housing. This first housing has a sediment filter. I believe the manual recommends you change these every 3 to 6 months, but it really depends on how dirty your water is. We're catching rainwater off of a 9,000 square foot building here, and so we haven't changed these filters in about a year, probably a little overdue, and we'll change that today. The carbon filter, of course, is in the next housing. We'll do that the same way with this wrench. Just spin that counterclockwise until the ring drops. So carbon filter down here. Carbon filter removes taste and odor problems or issues with your water. And it's a little heavier filter. I believe this is a model number C202 part number. Okay, so now that we've got our housings down and we're going to change out our cartridge filters. This is what a new cartridge filter looks like, by the way, for the carbon block filter. The sediment filter, I don't have one here handy, but it looks a little different. Okay, so we'll come over here now and we're going to unsnap these tabs on the top of our stainless steel chamber that's attached to our UV lamp. Now, this is where your electrical connections are made. You'll see that there are pins on the ring on the back side of this system, and then also ports here with pins coming out of the lamp, and that makes the connection that allows the ultraviolet light to turn on when you plug your system in. We're going to go ahead and turn this lamp counterclockwise and pull straight up. Being careful not to drop it. These lamps are typically good for about 1 year. Lay this lamp up here on the shelf. you'll see that this gray sleeve bolt is what holds the sleeve inside the stainless steel chamber. These are usually hand tight. I was able to get mine to turn there. You may have to take a rag or something to be able to get a better grip on these. And then you just spin this off counterclockwise. Now there's a spring down in the bottom here that must be this sleeve actually bounces up and down off of. See, it's giving some resistance here because it's pushing that sleeve back up out of the chamber. So on the sleeve, we'll see that there is a little O-ring, and the O-ring seats inside the stainless steel chamber to prevent the water from coming out. So when we go back with this later, we've got to make sure that this is seated properly. You can even turn your water pressure back on and pressure test this before you put your lamp in, just to make sure you don't have a leak. And that way, if you do have a leak, you won't ruin your lamp. So that's always a good thing to consider. When you take this out, you're not really supposed to touch the glass, but I'm going to this time, and then I'll clean it later. Pull straight up and remove. And these don't have to be changed every time. They can actually be cleaned with a solution. Just look in your manual, and you can take a look and see how you might go about cleaning this so that you don't have to switch it out. If you do happen to break it when you're trying to replace it, we do have replacement sleeves on our websites at rainwaterequipment.com and rainharvestingsupplies.com. You can also buy the lamps and the sleeves as a combo kit. You pay a slightly lower price for the combo kit. So for illustration purposes, we're going to say that we have already cleaned our our sleeve, and we're going back in with it. So we want to have this O-ring down about 1.5 inches on the glass. We come back with our sleeve bolt, and we're going to push down into the stainless steel chamber, and that O-ring is going to seat. Now we're going to turn this thing clockwise, and you can look down inside. Probably won't be able to see it here, but I'm going to look down inside here, and I can see that my O-ring has been seated properly to prevent the water from escaping. So then I can turn this hand tight. We're going to assume I've got a new lamp in hand here that I've just taken out of the box. Put this back down in the sleeve and turn it clockwise. Now you've got to line these up so that this little ring that spins freely, these pins line up. This is the grounding nut on the back here where this unit is grounded. And then we just simply take our connection here, line those pins up, and we push down until we snap these plastic pins in on both sides to secure the lamp. And that's really it. Again, this is the Viqua IHS22-E4. I won't take the time right now to switch out the filter cartridges. You see how they go back together. We'll just put new cartridges in, reinstall these, and then turn our water back on and check for leaks. Thanks for watching this video.